The courtroom overflowed long before sunrise. Reporters packed the back rows, veterans filled every bench, and armed deputies stood shoulder to shoulder beneath polished oak walls. At the center of the storm stood a young woman in plain civilian clothes, her posture calm despite the whispers surrounding her. A faded black wristband rested beneath her sleeve, barely visible, until the bailiff noticed it and frowned. Judge Harold Benton adjusted his glasses and slammed the gavel. "Remove that military band immediately. This is a courtroom, not a parade ground." A ripple of laughter spread through the gallery. The woman slowly raised her eyes. "Your Honor, with respect, it honors a promise." "I said take it off." She hesitated for only a heartbeat before sliding the worn band from her wrist and placing it carefully on the defense table as though setting down something priceless. Her name was Emily Carter, officially charged with assaulting 2 armed men outside a federal medical center. Headlines called her violent. Social media called her unstable. Nobody in the room knew why she never denied touching the attackers. The prosecutor smiled confidently. "The evidence will show the defendant acted without authority and interfered with federal officers." Emily quietly answered, "They weren't federal officers." More laughter echoed. The judge leaned forward. "You will speak only when instructed." She nodded without another word. Security footage began playing across the courtroom screens. Grainy images showed chaos outside the hospital entrance. 2 large men rushed toward an elderly patient while frightened nurses scattered. Before anyone could react, Emily stepped between them. Within seconds, both attackers hit the pavement, disarmed by movement so fast the camera barely captured them. Gasps replaced laughter. The prosecutor quickly recovered. An impressive display, but still unnecessary force. Emily remained silent. Then the courtroom doors burst open. Every deputy instinctively reached for a weapon as several uniformed Navy personnel entered with urgent expressions. At their center walked a silver-haired admiral wearing rows of ribbons earned across decades of service. His eyes never wandered. They locked directly onto Emily. The judge frowned. "This proceeding is in session." The admiral ignored him. His gaze dropped to the wristband lying on the table. His face changed instantly, as though years of memories had returned in one breath. He whispered one word: "Sentinel." Emily looked up slowly. Only a handful of people in the world had ever known that call sign. The entire courtroom fell into absolute silence as the admiral snapped to attention and rendered the sharpest salute anyone there had ever witnessed. The veterans in the gallery instinctively rose to their feet. Even the deputies hesitated, confused by what they had just witnessed. A 4-star admiral did not salute civilians, especially defendants standing trial for assault. Yet his hand remained at his brow until Emily quietly returned the salute with flawless precision. Judge Benton struck the gavel repeatedly. "Order, Admiral. Explain yourself immediately." The admiral lowered his hand without taking his eyes off her. "Your Honor, you are not looking at an ordinary civilian." The prosecutor interrupted. "With respect, she has no military record." "That," the admiral replied coldly, "is because the missions she served on officially never happened." The room erupted with murmurs. Emily spoke for the first time since the proceedings began. "Sir, you don't have to do this." "Yes," he answered firmly. "I do." He walked to the evidence table, gently picked up the faded wristband, and held it for everyone to see. This band belonged to Lieutenant Daniel Reeves, the last operator lost during Operation Silent Tide. Every member of that rescue team swore to wear it until the innocent people they failed to save finally received justice. The judge's expression shifted from irritation to uncertainty. "You're saying she served with Navy SEALs?" The admiral nodded. "Not served beside them. She commanded the extraction that brought 17 hostages home when every official rescue plan had failed." The prosecutor laughed nervously. "There are no records. There were never supposed to be." Emily closed her eyes briefly as memories flooded back. Burning buildings, helicopters disappearing into black skies, frightened children carried through enemy territory, and teammates who never returned. She had buried that life years ago, determined never to wear another uniform after losing Daniel. The admiral continued. "She requested complete anonymity after the mission. She refused medals, promotions, and recognition. She chose to disappear." A reporter suddenly stood. "Then why is she working as a hospital volunteer?" Emily answered quietly. "Because saving one life is easier than remembering the ones I couldn't." Silence filled the courtroom again. Then the rear doors flew open a second time. A deputy rushed inside, breathing hard. "Your Honor, we have an emergency." Everyone turned. "The courthouse has been locked down. 3 armed suspects have entered the building. They're demanding the witness scheduled to testify this morning." Panic spread instantly. People ducked beneath benches while deputies rushed toward the exits. The judge's face turned pale. "Shill every entrance." A gunshot echoed through the hallway. Then another. The lights flickered. One deputy stumbled into the courtroom, bleeding from the shoulder. "They're coming this way, and they know exactly who they're looking for." Emily's eyes narrowed. She recognized the attacker's tactics immediately. This wasn't a random assault. Someone had planned this operation with military precision. The Admiral met her gaze. Without saying another word, he slid Daniel's wristband back across the table. Emily wrapped it around her wrist. For the first time in years, the woman called Sentinel was back. Emily tightened the faded wristband until it rested firmly against her pulse. The frightened spectators saw only a quiet woman. The Admiral saw the leader who had once walked through explosions without leaving anyone behind. Another burst of gunfire echoed outside. Dust drifted from the ceiling. Every second mattered. "Everyone stay low," Emily said calmly. Her steady voice cut through the panic like a blade. "Do exactly what I say, and nobody moves unless I tell them." The deputies instinctively looked toward the judge. Judge Benton swallowed hard before nodding. Listen to her. The transformation was immediate. Emily directed deputies to reinforce the doors with heavy tables, ordered civilians into protected positions behind marble pillars, and instructed the medical staff present to prepare emergency supplies. She noticed details nobody else saw: a security camera still working, an unlocked maintenance corridor, and the pattern of footsteps outside. "They're splitting into two teams," she whispered to the Admiral. "One creates fear. The other goes after the witness." "How can you tell? They've done this before." The courtroom doors exploded inward. Two masked gunmen stormed inside, shouting orders. Before either could aim, Emily moved. She grabbed a fallen chair, driving it into the first attacker with explosive force. The second fired wildly, but she pulled a deputy safely behind cover before disarming the shooter with precise movements learned through years of impossible missions. The room fell silent. Then a slow clap echoed from the hallway. A third figure appeared, older than the others, carrying himself with chilling confidence. "I knew you'd survive," he said. "Sentinel." Emily's expression hardened. "You should have stayed buried." The Admiral recognized him instantly. Marcus Kane. The years earlier, Kane had betrayed an international rescue operation, selling classified locations that cost innocent lives and several operators their futures. Everyone believed he had disappeared forever. Kane smiled coldly. "You ruined my empire. Today I return the favor." He reached for the terrified witness hiding behind the defense table. Emily stepped between them. "You'll have to go through me? I always intended to." The fight that followed lasted less than a minute but felt endless. Kane fought with ruthless precision, yet Emily refused to yield. Every strike carried years of grief, sacrifice, and determination. Finally, she redirected his momentum, sending him crashing to the courtroom floor. Deputies rushed forward, securing him in handcuffs before he could recover. Outside, the remaining attackers surrendered as tactical officers swept through the building. For several moments, nobody spoke. Judge Benton slowly descended from the bench and stopped before Emily. His voice trembled. "When I ordered you to remove that wristband, I believed it was nothing more than a piece of cloth." Emily looked at it quietly. "It isn't cloth, Your Honor. It's a promise to people who never came home." The judge lowered his head. "In all my years on this bench, I have never been more wrong. This court owes you an apology." The prosecutor silently withdrew every charge. Reporters lowered their cameras, realizing they had witnessed something far greater than a trial. Veterans stood once more, this time in respect rather than curiosity. The Admiral smiled with pride. "Welcome home, Sentinel." Emily looked around the courtroom filled with people who were alive because fear had not defeated courage. She realized that honor was never about medals, uniforms, or recognition. It was about choosing to protect others even when nobody knew your name. If this story reminded you that true heroes often stand quietly among us until the moment they're needed most, subscribe to the channel for more unforgettable stories of courage, sacrifice, and hope that prove the greatest legends are sometimes the ones the world almost overlooks.